What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another War Thunder video. It's been quite a while since we've made a video, and that's mostly because of computer problems. But we've got the computer rebuilt, we got it upgraded, and we are back to playing War Thunder. And it's in actually pretty good timing because War Thunder has a new patch coming up pretty soon. They also have some battle rating changes coming up. A sale is coming up. You got the anniversary. There's a lot going on right now. It's actually a pretty exciting times. And so during my time off, I went 3 full months without playing a single match of War Thunder. When was the last time you did that? That's a long time to go without playing a single match. But we're back, and we are easing back into it. In the background, I've got a match I had a couple days ago, playing 6.7 Britain, and we had a pretty good game. But this battle is actually something that I want to talk about because Germany 5.7 is about to get a huge buff because of some battle rating changes. Britain 6.7 is going to be extinct pretty soon. The Carnarvon, the FV-4202, the Chieftain Mark III, the Centurion Action X, or Centurion Action 10, whatever you want to call it, which is the premium. It's kind of a hybrid between the FV-4202 and the Centurion Mark III. All of those are going up to 7.0. When you couple that with the American T-29 being moved up to 7.0 some time ago, basically it means 6.7 allies is going to be a lot less populated. I mean, after this change, assuming that their planned battle rating changes all do go into effect, and Britain 6.7 is basically dead, then for Britain it's only going to leave 2 tanks that I can recall at 6.7, that being the Tortoise and the FV-4005. Neither of which are particularly great vehicles. America will still have something like the Ontos and the T-92, the M26E1 premium. They'll have the T-34 heavy tank. They'll have the T-30 heavy tank, but they don't have the big boy, the T-29, the super popular premium tank. That the T-29 probably got to be one of the top selling vehicles as far as premium tanks for War Thunder. That sold a lot of vehicles, made them a lot of money. What that means for Germany, though, is a huge sigh of relief at 5.7. Germany at 5.7 is one of the most popular battle ratings in the game, has been for literally years, and I think it's going to become even more popular once these battle rating changes take into effect. Because what's going to happen is, for those of you who are not familiar with the battle ratings, the matchmaking takes into effect, or the matchmaking that you get is plus or minus 1. So if you have a 5.7 tank, you could see anything from 4.7 to 6.7. Well, if Britain no longer has any really popular 6.7 tanks, then you as a German 5.7 player won't have to worry about facing those vehicles. You only have to worry about facing the American T-20 or T-92s and M50 Ontos and so on and so forth. Which, don't get me wrong, it's still going to be a problem, but when you consider the number of 6.7s that Britain has that have good armor, the mobility isn't that great. The Carnarvon, which is the vehicle that I'm using in the majority of this battle, is very good because it has a very powerful engine upgrade. Excuse me. But their biggest advantage is that they have the high penetration APDS shell as an unlock. Now, when you couple that with the fact that the armor appears to have gotten a little bit of a buff due to the volumetric shell changes that were introduced in patch 1.01, These tanks are pretty pretty well armored, and so the 5.7 German Tigers and Panthers, they're going to have some problems dealing with these. So by moving these vehicles up to 7.0 along with the T-29 several months ago, what Gaijin has essentially done is they've given Germany 5.7 a huge breath of fresh air. They're actually decompressing the matchmaker, something I for one have been hoping for quite some time. To me, the big mistake Gaijin has made with respect to the matchmaker at this tier is that they moved like the Panther D and the first Tiger H1 down to 5.3. That to me was a mistake. To me, that's what you're essentially doing is you're compressing the battle rating, just squeezing everything lower, when in fact they needed to extend it up. They need to bring the T-29, the Carnarvon, and so on and so forth up to 7.0. You could arguably even bring something like the Carnarvon up to 7.3, and I think it would still be just fine because of its amazing engine upgrades. I mean, the Centurion Mark 10 is it 7.7 now, and it does have a better gun, but I'd rather have the Carnarvon's mobility over the Centurion Mark 10's gun, to tell you the truth. But it's going to be interesting to see how all this affects the statistics of these vehicles, because that is, after all, what War Thunder, or excuse me, what Gaijin bases their battle rating changes off of, is statistics. You know, win rate, KD, all that sort of stuff that we have no idea of what is actually going on, because all we have to go on is our own individual experiences plus whatever reports we can find on a website like Thunderskill, and Thunderskill is only accurate to a certain degree, because it doesn't take into effect every player's account, and that's not constantly updated. So we don't have a great idea as to what's going on as far as how certain vehicles are performing. And I don't think Gaijin Entertainment is going to be offering their statistics to us anytime soon. You know, to me, they don't have any incentive to offer whatever spreadsheets they have on all of these on all of their internal statistics for vehicle performance. All we have to go by is whatever the moderators happen to leak out. Every once in a while they'll make a comment about how this vehicle is, you know, the second best performing AA in the game or whatever, and it's like, really? I'm not so sure about that, but okay, if you say so, boss. But it also, you know, all this, it brings into question what sort of other effects are going to happen down the line. You know, moving the Centurion Mark III and the Carnarvon up to 7.0. What is that going to do for Germany 5.7 going forward? Will the Panther A and the Tiger E, for example, will they, with this new breathing room, since they're no longer going to have to face the 6.7s, which are quite capable of clubbing the crap out of them, are they going to do so well in the next 6 months that Gaijin looks at the statistics on those vehicles and say, you know what, we need to raise those up to 6.0? I don't think that's an impossible outcome to this. I think it's entirely possible that the Tiger E and the Panther A, for example, could be moved up to 6.0 by, say, June of 2021, if this newfound breathing room that they're introducing at that battle rating, it could really have quite an effect. Of course, I do mention primarily America and Britain 6.7, because that is primarily what you will be facing as a 5.7 German player. Germany doesn't have very many 6.0 tanks. They obviously exist, but they don't have as as many of them as they do 5.7s, at least in terms of their popularity. And of course, most other nations in the game tend to have very few vehicles in this tier. If you look through all the tech trees, there are a lot of holes in a lot of these tech trees, and so there's the end of that. Yeah, I did pretty well. 10 kills in this match, and it's primarily because of two things. Number one, the route I took. I skirted along the sniping ridge, or whatever you want to call that, the rocks to the right hand side of the map. And two, the enemy team is primarily made up of 5.7 German tanks. I was one of the very only 6.7 tanks in this battle. I don't recall what the 6.7 German tank was, but I know that they did have one. And at the start of the battle, I was with I believe it was a Centurion Mark III. We both went along that ridge. He cut in a little bit earlier than I did, and he sniped towards the middle of the battlefield, whereas I kind of walked a little closer to the spawn camping position. But Germany, they just did not have the 6.7s that we did. We had two. I think they had one. They did have a couple of 6.3s, but almost all of their vehicles were 5.7s. They were all Tigers and Panthers for the most part. There were a Jag Panther, a Tiger 2P. I think they also had a Ferdinand, which I believe is a 6.3. But all of their vehicles were 5.7 for the most part. And our team, primarily 5.7 as well. Like I said, I and the Centurion Mark III that I was with, we were some of the only higher tier vehicles on our team. This was primarily a 5.7 battle, and this was, in my opinion, carried by the 6.7s, unsurprisingly. So what happens to Germany when they don't have to face the 6.7s that have APDS that basically blows through every piece of armor they could possibly stick onto their tank? Suddenly, they're going to start winning, in my opinion. I mean, even with me spawn camping fairly early, well, I guess it's not that early in the game because this is a full 25-minute long match. But I was spawn camping fairly early in the game, and managed to rack up 10 kills, and yet the enemy team, primarily of 5.7s, was still able to really put a beating on my team. They pushed them all the way back to their cap. We did eventually kill the Tigers that were on the cap, and right now we're just kind of playing defensively. We're just waiting for them to push out. At the time, I wasn't paying any attention to the clock, but this battle does eventually go to the full 25-minute mark. These little discussions about battle ratings and their effects, this is something that I think we should do more often, because as much as I like to just play the game, I also don't mind discussing the game, discussing the battle ratings and repair costs and all that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I prefer to just play the game, and that's primarily why I don't like to just get into every little hot topic that comes up in the community. But at the same time, I do miss talking about this stuff sometimes with you guys, because I think it's good to discuss. It's good to share opinions and get some feedback on things. If there's a particular topic of discussion you want to hear me discuss, let me know in the comment section below. As always, this is your chance to sound off. If you want to know my thoughts on something in particular, let me know. Blow up the comment section. It's been a while since we've had a video go live. Anyway, we managed to pick up 14 kills and a pretty easy carry there, doing some sniping with the Carnarvon and the Centurion Action Axe. Very good tanks. This is probably going to be the last video you will see on YouTube with these vehicles at 6.7, because they're going to be at 7.0 very soon. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys. Can't believe I had to do this outro 3 times. I'm so out of practice. Take care, guys.